Great. Are we on? Excellent. Hello everyone, good evening and happy May Day, International Workers' Day, happy Beltane, and happy birthday to Fausto the cat, who's been here all afternoon and is now very disappointingly gone out. And I've been trying to get him to come back in and he's not coming back in. He's obviously partying with some friends. It's his birthday today, as I said. So I hope you are all well, wherever you are. I'm Pascal Gabriel, aka Stubbleman, and welcome to the preview of the Blackbird Tapes. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the Blackbird Tapes and the inspiration for it, generally, and especially for the first piece that I wrote for it, which is 4 a.m. Conversation. It's a piece that was started at 4 a.m. in the morning when I woke up and heard the conversation between two blackbirds out of my bedroom window. The advantage, if there is an advantage, the nice thing about this period of insulation that we've all had, isolation we've all had in London, is that the bird song has been much bigger, much louder than usual, and it's been wonderful to hear them. And those particular blackbirds were really great. They were really having a good conversation. One very near our house, I think probably on the roof, and the other one about 200 meters away. And he was, they were chatting between them, and I recorded them, got my tape recorder out and recorded them, and they were really wonderful. They were very inspiring. So that's how the whole thing started. Later that day, I took the recording downstairs in the studio, fiddled around with it, and I found that actually it needed very little. It needed very minimal arrangement. So I decided to stick to just 2 synthesizers and the piano as part of the music, to create the music with it. This synthesizer here called 2 Voice Pro, made by Oberheim, and this GRP A4 made by GRP in Italy. That's an American synthesizer. That's an Italian boutique synthesizer made by a guy near Rome. And this Schimmel upright piano, which is actually a little bit out of tune, and I apologize for that, but I couldn't get a tuner to come around, obviously. But it sounds okay for these pieces. So I deliberately limited my compositional tool to these 3 instruments. Then I started playing a little bit with some ideas, and I found actually I needed to limit myself further. And so this only plays the bass. It plays a maximum of 3 bass notes per song. I limited it to 2 or 3 tones per songs. In fact, the first 2 songs, they've got only 2 tones. And that plays a kind of fluttery sequence that I fade in and out with the volume pedal I've got down here, you can't see. And that kind of, to me, echoes the fluttering of the birds throughout the pieces, apart from the 3rd piece, which I'll tell you about later. And the piano plays a very simple motif, an arpeggiated kind of riff, played loosely, very loosely, in a kind of bird style piece. So I started doing this piece, recording it, and I found actually the results were really encouraging and really successful to me, and played it to the record company. They really loved it and so on. So I did another one and another one, and so you're the first people in the world to hear him. So I'm very pleased that you're here. It's slightly strange talking to my own iPhone, but it's wonderful that there are people there. So I'll play them in chronological order. The tracks are called 4 a.m. Conversation, 6 a.m. Chorus, and 8 a.m. Soliloquy. And I'll talk a little bit in between each piece and tell you a little bit about them, and also look at questions that you may have, or you may have sent to Beth in the meantime, and chat a little bit about whatever the questions are. Okay, so to start with, we're going to do 4 a.m. Conversation. And I've made a big note on my notepad that I need to switch the talking microphone off, otherwise it's going to sound terrible. So I'll turn around and put my headphones on, the right way around, and switch the microphone off, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Switch the microphone back on. Hello again. So that was 4 a.m. conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have a quick look at questions to see if there are any questions before, because I've got the iPad here, and I also have questions that people sent in earlier. I have some questions. There's quite a few actually. Bird song. The bird song sounds lovely on this track, but what's it say? How did you record it, and did you do any treatment afterwards? Well, I recorded it with my usual. I brought it here, just in case someone was asking that question. With this hairy guy. It's called a hairy guy because it looks hairy, and it's a Sony PCM digital field recorder. It's very basic, but it's very good, and I used that for most of the recordings, but I also used sometime this other guy, Hairy Friend, which is a microphone that connects to Hairy Guy. Hairy Guy, Hairy Friend. So they're the tools of my field recording trade, so to speak. So I recorded them. I didn't treat them at all. I basically recorded 20 minutes of the birds at 4 a.m., 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. on different days. Then I didn't treat them at all. I chose what to me were the most interesting 5 minutes. And then I did treat them after that. So what you hear on most of the tracks, although they've been maybe arranged slightly different 8 times, is the original recording of the bird at its normal pitch, then at half speed, and then half speed again, and half speed again. And what the half speed thing does, it brings it an octave lower and obviously half as fast. So you get this kind of really low end. When you do it 4 times, you get, the Blackbird sounds like a bass line, effectively. And also when you play them together, you then end up with a kind of an arrangement that way are fit in, and those 4 notes together, effectively, because they become 4 notes, suggest interesting things, and also they sound good, of course, and that's the important thing. And so so that's the treatment I did do on the birds. Another question maybe, and then we'll get on. What made you move to the UK? That's an interesting question. Music. I came to the UK because I wanted to make music, and back in 1979 in Belgium, when I left Belgium to come here, there were no labels in Belgium virtually that made it possible to release your music. Crammed Discs, the label I'm signed to now, started in 1980, the year after I left. And if he had been there, maybe I would have stayed. Who knows? So that's the reason. I wanted to come to London because I'd been to London a couple of times. It was a wonderful place, and it still is a wonderful place for creating music and making music. And so, that's why I came. So now we're gonna move on to 6 a.m. chorus. So it's a different day. It's 6 a.m. It's much busier. There are a lot more birds. I'm just checking on my notes here: crows, blackbirds, robins, tits, and so on. And they're all happy. It was recorded during a sunny week, and they were all making quite a lot of racket. So it created a different backing track, if you like, for my instrumentation, and a different inspiration. And so I'll play you that. But first I just remembered I need to adjust the synth, so it's because it's a slightly different sound. I'll leave the mic open so you don't think I've been switched off or anything. Okay, I think we're good. I'll switch the mic off now and then we'll carry on with 6 a.m. chorus. I hope you enjoy it. Microphone back on. I remembered this time. In the rehearsals, I kept forgetting. So that was 6 a.m. chorus. I hope you enjoyed it. So I've looked at questions again. What do we have? I'll have a quick look. There. If money were no object, what music video would you like to make? And would you ever to make one long, consecutive piece? It's a good question. It's a long question. Requires perhaps a quite long answer, but I'll try to make it as short as possible. Yes, I am doing that, actually. The second album, let me talk about the first album first. First album, Mountains and Plains, and it's out now. It's been out. Came out last April, on Crammed Discs. It's wonderful. I'll talk a little bit more about it later. Second album, called temporarily 14643, but actually not temporarily. It will be called 14643. It's the length of the album, and it's also the time it took me to cycle up the Mont Ventoux, which is a mythical climb, a cycling climb in Provence, and the whole album will be about that, and about the Mont Ventoux in general, and about cycling, and about the struggles, and about all that stuff. And for those of you who were at the concert at the Purcell Room last November, and as part of the London Jazz Festival, I played the last 25 minutes of that with a movie that Pippa here filming us tonight had made, and eventually the whole of the album, the second album, will have a film that's 14643 to accompany it. So yes, the answer is yes, and I have thought about it, and we are doing it, and we're definitely working on that. Another question. You've worked in so many areas and genre of music. What music do you tend to listen to? Oh, that's kind of easy to answer that question. Well, I listen to lots of different instrumental music: Reich, Steve Reich, Niels Fram, A Winged Victory for the Sullen, Christina Vansu, loads of these kind of artists. But and I won't really list them all here because the list is too long. But if you want to know, I have a playlist on Spotify called Radio Stubbleman, which I update monthly, and you can subscribe to, and you will be automatically updated every month with a whole, usually a couple of hours worth of music that I like that particular month, that really tickle my fancy in that particular month. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the answer for that one. Love your audiovisual work. Do you think in a perfect world every song would have a corresponding video, and do the video IDs come sometimes from before the music? Well, yes. Everything we've released so far, including some remixes, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But the whole album, when we play it live, has a movie for it, and we've got a single movie for every track of the album on the website. On the EP, the first track of the EP, 4 AM Conversation, has a video for it. And yes, the answer to the second question, do video IDs come sometimes before the music? Yes, they do. Badlands Train was written completely because of the video. We were driving around in this American coast-to-coast trip. We were in the northern Texas area, and in a big plain in the middle of nowhere. A train came the other way. There was a straight road. There's millions of them in the States. The train came this way. We were driving that way. I quickly opened the window, got the camera out, filmed it for 6-7 minutes. And when I looked back at it, I thought, this is just great. This is like a pre-made song. So I then wrote the song of the Badlands Train, our song that's on the album. I wrote that entirely to the video from start to finish. And that's so that was, it's rare, but it can happen. So the next track I need to talk to you about is coming back to the EP now. It's 8 AM Soliloquy. Now that's it's about the solitude of the lone bird. Really, it was 8 o'clock, a different day again, and there was this little tweety bird. I'm not sure what it was. I think it was a robin. I don't think it was a blackbird. But it was, it was outvoted on the Robin Tapes. Didn't quite sound as good on the EP title. So anyway, I think it was a robin or a tit. and it was just lonely. And by that time, this is the last recording I did. There was a bit more noise in the city. It had changed. You know, the real stillness of the first couple of weeks of isolation had gone up a notch. And there were builders around the back making some noise, and there were, you know, there was disturbance, if you like. And throughout this recording, you can kind of hear him just kind of going, oh, all my mates have gone and I'm a bit on my own, and there's weird noises, and it's a bit, you know, and it felt to me that it was a bit slowly getting, you know, quieter, and of course I projected there, but you know, it's kind of part of artistry, I suppose. And it's probably the most sad and melancholic song of the EP, and so what I decided to do on this one, rather than have the sequence fading in and out, which you heard on the previous two tracks, which are normally controlled with this volume pedal down on the floor, you can't see it, but it's online actually. I took a photo of faster on it. The sequence on this particular track is all the way through. It's relentless, and he creates a sense of urgency that I think was necessary to make it feel like the world is waking up out of this darkness, if you like, but at the same time it hurts the birds a little bit, you know. And so that's kind of, it's melancholic and sad, and yeah, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll get on with that. I just need to do one more little change on here, and that's quite easy to do there, and switch the mic off, and I'll be there. Microphone. So that was 8 a.m. Soliloquy, and I hope you enjoyed it. And so I have quick look at the last questions. Any last questions coming in? Interested to know if you get immediate sounds in your head when you see these sites that inspire you, or is it just a sensation of inspiration and the tunes come later? Well, I certainly get. That's a good question. I do. Yeah, I do. I have certainly. You hear some not arrangement, but you get a sense of what would work and what would not work, as you would actually working in the pop field with a singer. You hear their voice and you think that will work well. It's just a similar kind of thing. But it's really the atmosphere as well, of course. And we project it, of course. I mean, that little lonely bird on the last piece, maybe he was really happy, but I felt really sad listening to it, and that's the way I translated it into the piece of music. So I do, yeah. I mean, it's important, I think, to listen carefully and to be close to the emotion, especially if you make music. That's how I do it. That's how it works for me. I'll see if there's another one that had been sent earlier that might be good. Interesting for everyone to hear. There's a very silly one. What's on the rider for this live stream gig? Well, probably chicken curry, actually. But we'll see. So I've got to announce some releases, which are very exciting. This EP is coming out on Crammed Discs and on all the digital platforms in a month, on Friday the 5th of June. And there was a great video for 4 a.m. Conversation that Pippa has made, and it's really, really brilliant. She's really captured the feeling of it and turned it into a really great piece of visual art. But before that, before this release, this EP release, next Friday on the 8th of May, there's a fantastic, really fantastic remix that Miss Kitten has made of a track called Great River Road, which is accompanied also by a great short film that Pippa has made. And it's really fantastic, and that's coming out next Friday, a week today, on the 8th of May. And the Great River Road is a track, Great River Road, rather, pardon me, is a track on the album Mountains and Plains that was released last year. And the album, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's an audio travelogue from a road trip that I made from the East Coast to the West Coast of the US, and recording loads of field recordings on the way, and basically turning those field recordings into pieces like this. Those were very different because, of course, the places were different for each song, whereas this one was my bedroom window for each of those. But it's an excellent album, even if I say so myself. So please, if you enjoy this, sign up to the mailing list of the website on stubblemanmusic.com. If you want to be kept informed, I promise not to send it more than occasionally. I'll send them once every 2 or 3 months. And I promise not to give your email address to anyone else. Promise, because I get lots of crap as well, and I don't want to send anyone any crap on my behalf. So I'd like to now give a lot of thanks to people. I'd like to thank Beth Sinden at Serious, who's been absolutely brilliant on this project. I'd like to thank David Jones at Serious as well, and the whole of rest of the Serious Live team, who have been really brilliant. I'd like to also mention that at the moment the live sector, as you can imagine, is really entering really unprecedented times, and Serious Music have been really brilliant, and they're not expecting me to say this, but I think if you enjoyed this evening concert performance that I've given you, give them some look at their charity and their trust, and if you feel like this was worth a few bob, then give it to their trust. It's on serious.org.uk/donate, and they do great things for young musicians and struggling musicians, and they're really brilliant. So do help them if you can, if you feel like it, if I was worth it. I'd like to also thank Sophia and Hannah and Mark at Crammed Discs. Sophia's basically done all the sorting out for this evening, a presentation on Crammed. And I'd like obviously to thank Pippa Angar, my wife, for her amazing filming skills and her artwork. And I'd like lastly to thank all of you for virtually coming along to my living room. And I'm very disappointed in Fausto. I don't know what you think, but honestly, I know it's his birthday, but quand même. Huh? Anyway, goodbye, and it's been wonderful to... I forgot. I've got to announce also on Serious live streams, they've got next week, in 2 weeks' time, they've got, I think, Camilla George, and 2 weeks after that, they've got Abel Selako, who we saw at the launch of the London Jazz Festival, and he's absolutely brilliant. So check their streams. They're really worth it. And anyway, that's all. I forgot. I just looked at my piece of paper and I just remembered I had to say that. I wanted to say that. So anyway, goodbye, and thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you all in person sometime. Bye.